Come with us to Fort Worth, Texas. Even if you only have a half of a day in Fort Worth, you need to make it a priority. It was so much fun. We will tell you where to go, what to see. Come along.
Welcome to VO's Travel. Where to go and what to see. With kids.
Or without. Okay, our Texas trip, we spent a week in Texas total. We flew into Dallas. We drove over to Fort Worth. We stayed there for just a half of a day, spent one night there, and then drove to Waco. We had 3 nights in Waco, then drove to San Antonio, had 3 nights in San Antonio, and then drove back to Dallas to fly back home. So this is how we spent our time in Fort Worth. Like I said, we only had a half of a day, and let me tell you what we did. So Fort Worth is located a little northeast of Central Texas and is only about a half-hour drive from Dallas. The first thing you need to do is head downtown to Commerce Street and go to the Fort Worth Water Gardens. It is a huge park downtown. There is a lot of street parking and parking lots to choose from, but it has probably 3 or 4 different water garden areas, and each area is a little bit different. It's a really cool place to check out. And then the next place you have to go is the Fort Worth Stockyards. If you only do one thing in Fort Worth, you need to go to the Fort Worth Stockyards. It is described as a highly concentrated cowboy culture, and it is everything cowboy, everything cows. It is such a fun place to go. And really, if you go to Texas in general, you have to make sure to go to the Fort Worth Stockyards. There's so many things to do. There's fun photo ops. There is a whole section of shopping. There are lots of restaurants and bars. It's just exactly like I said, a very highly concentrated cowboy culture. So much fun. Besides shopping and eating, you can do horse-drawn carriage rides. They are known for their longhorn cows. You can actually sit on one for $10. And then the biggest thing that they are known for is their longhorn cattle drive. It happens every day at 11:30 a.m. and 4 p.m. You should start getting your seats a half hour before the cattle drive because the streets do fill up very quickly. And one thing to note, you cannot sit on the curb, so make sure you have a good standing spot in the front row. The cattle drive really only takes about 8 minutes. It's pretty quick, but it is so neat to see those longhorn cattle. So here is how the cattle drive works. They start around that Black X area. They walk west on Exchange Avenue and then stop in that area right there. The best place, in my opinion, to stand for the cattle drive is right in front of the Stockyards station on the south side of the road, because you will have the sign in the background so you can get great pictures of the cattle with that Stockyards station sign right in the background. Right after the cattle drive was over, we made sure to get a family photo there. And then after you grab a family photo in that spot, head into the Stockyards station for a little shopping and get a spot for the shootout at 11:45 a.m. and 4:15 p.m. every day. Those cowboys that you saw take a picture with my family earlier in the video, they do a fun little comedy shootout act that takes maybe 5 or 10 minutes. For dinner that night, we stayed in the Stockyards and had dinner at Los Boqueros. It was very good. It was authentic Mexican food. We were really happy with what we ordered, and it was a delicious place to eat. However, we were highly recommended to check out a different restaurant called H3 Ranch, and I wish we would have checked it out. I hear it is the best restaurant in the Stockyards. One cool thing about the Mexican restaurant we went to, it was right next to Billy Bob's, which is the world's largest honky tonk. It was sold out for that night, but it was fun to see the line wrapped around the building. When you are in the Stockyards, another thing that you can do is ride a mechanical bull. That was fun for the kids to see and watch that girl fall off of. And then we definitely had to hit up ice cream. And Melt is where it was at. We highly recommend Melt. We loved all of the ice cream. They had a lot of different flavors to choose from. One other interesting thing that we did see while walking around the Stockyards before the rodeo, which I'll get to in a bit, is this restaurant. Besides H3 Ranch, this restaurant looked like the place to be. It had such a cool ambiance, and the food looked amazing as well. It was called Second Rodeo Brewing Company, and it looked really cool. Okay, if you do anything in the Fort Worth Stockyards besides the cattle drive, you have to go to the rodeo. The rodeo is at 7:30 p.m. every Friday and Saturday night, and well worth every penny. It honestly wasn't that expensive, and it was such a fun thing to see because where we come from in the Midwest, we don't get to see rodeos every day. This was a really fun thing for our kids to see and fun for my husband and I as well. There were lots of different things that you could watch, different bull riders, barrel races, you name it. If it's in a rodeo, it was definitely here. It was so much fun. I would highly recommend it. I will say if you are allergic to horses, it might not be the best thing. We ended up having to leave a little bit early because one of my kiddos is allergic to horses, and that got in the air just a little bit. But still, it was fun and worth every penny, and we are so glad that we got to experience a rodeo at the Fort Worth Stockyards. That about wraps up our time at the Fort Worth Stockyards. You could definitely spend a whole day there. Like I said, we spent about 4 or 5 hours, and it was so much fun. Make sure you get a picture in front of this sign if you leave the Stockyards at night. And as always, I hope that you remember to choose joy and take all of the pictures.